Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and I've played a lot of sports in my life, but golf is the most humbling of them all, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and this past weekend was the first time this year that I watched a golf tournament on a Friday, and that's my confirmation bias.
I ain't never played golf, and I never will, because I ain't stupid, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Chef Curry, and I think golf has been soft ever since Tiger Woods trusted a small button to smile, and that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Welcome to Confirmation Bias.
Kev, you a fool.
Kev, you are a fool. And before I start the show, I want to send a shout out to Kenyon. As you guys have noticed, he hasn't been here the last couple shows.
We fired him.
Just
playing.
He lost his grandfather, so we want to send our condolences out to him and his family.
Yes, sir.
He's handling his family business, so, we holding it down for our brother.
Yeah, we got to hold it down.
As a man should.
So, please, let's get to some business. You have to go on and follow us on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at The League AM. And you can also now download our podcast at Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. You can also visit our website at theleagueam.com. And if you're interested in writing a sports blog, go visit our diplomatic immunity page and write your own bias. Okay? Now, let's get to this exciting sport. Hold on, why y'all laughing?
Because you disrespectful.
It's exciting, right?
Yes.
Sport of golf.
This is spectator sport.
First thing you need to know about golf is it's the only sport with a ball where the lowest score wins. Standard golf is played on an 18-hole arranged course. Each hole must have a tee where you take your initial swing, and a green where you find the hole, which to put the ball in, has a diameter of 4 inches and a quarter. Each hole is unique because of the distance and different hazards, like sand traps, large bodies of water, long grass, trees, and buildings, all strategically placed to make the hole more difficult. So they want you to have high scores if they put a building in the way. Every hole on a golf course has a predetermined number of strokes to complete a hole, either 3, 4, or 5 strokes, depending on the distance and the difficulty. If you're on a par 5 and it takes you 5 strokes to get the ball in the hole, that means you parred the hole. If the same par 5 hole, you make it in 4 strokes, that is -1, a birdie, which is a good thing because remember, the lower the score, the better. If you do that par 5 in 3 strokes, it is an eagle, and that's even better. Now, they have some other condors and albatrosses, but who gets those anyway? Now, the reverse happens. If it takes you 6 strokes to get it in the hole, that would be a bogey. Now you're starting to go up.
All sound like bad sex jokes.
And you know what? I had to leave out the long shaft and the short shaft because it was we 5-year-olds, so it was gonna spiral out of control.
Yeah.
So basically, if you have a par 5 and you get it in 6 strokes, it's a bogey. 7 strokes, double bogey, and on and on.
It doesn't get any better.
Hey, it could have got a lot worse.
You went the diameter of the hole. I was like,
it could have got a lot worse.
Les, hold up. So Strokes and balls and holes with tall grass.
Yep. That should have been the name of the show.
I apologize.
That should have been the name of the show.
It ain't too late to change it.
So,
Mid-stroke.
golf golf sounds like a simple sport. Hit the ball in the hole, fewest strokes as possible. But it's not. It's far from it. The ability to swing a club perfectly to drive the ball over 300 yards takes hours of practice. The ability to chip on a green close to the hole from 100 yards takes precision and also practice. Imagine trying to hit a baseball 100 yards away into a cup, because that's basically what you're doing. So once again, it might sound simple, but for anybody who's ever played, it's far from it. The origins. There are signs of golf being played as early as the 13th century, but it's widely considered that it started in Scotland in the 15th century, modern golf. In 1457, King James II of Scotland actually outlawed golf because it took away from the practice of archery for military purposes. He eventually lifted that ban because he started liking golf. So he
It's not
wanted
the
to play.
same King James who rewrote the Bible, right?
No, not that
Okay,
one. It's
just
a
checking.
different one. A little bit after that.
Okay, just checking.
The old links at Musselburgh.
He rewrote the Bible and he did golf? Dude.
He would have put it in the Bible.
Right.
Whoa.
The old links at Musselburgh is the oldest playing golf course in the world, with records showing rounds being played as early as 1672. In the 19th century is where golf saw a boom in its popularity. The main reason was a building of a railway that connected England with Scotland, which made it cheaper to visit Scotland from England. So tourists would come, they liked the game, they saw the game, wanted to bring it back home. So in 1880, England had 12 golf courses. In 1887, 50 golf courses. By 1914, over 1,000 golf courses were in England.
Was that before or after the legend of Bagger Vance?
That was.
Sorry, I'm done.
Hey, ask Spike Lee about Bagger
Oh,
Man.
Lord.
In the late 1800s, courses also started to pop up in Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and South America. In the United States, golf clubs started to form around 1880. In 1894, there was actually 2 different amateur championships going on. So what happened was all the clubs got together and they founded the United States Golf Association, which is still an association today. In 1910, there were 267 golf clubs in the United States. Today, there is over 12,000. Now, let's get to the black eye of golf. The fact that it was just like baseball. It was a good old boys network.
Well, the balls are both white, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Shit. I just thought I'd point that out.
Just like baseball, blacks had to claim to be Native American to play in golf tournaments because blacks were not allowed. John Sippen, who played in the U.S. Open 5 times between 1904 and 1912, actually had 2 finishes in the top 5. In 1913, the PGA made the tournaments white-only pies.
Never mind.
Oh, this is painful.
So, and it was like that until 1938 when Teddy Rose sued the PGA to allow him to play. Now, he dropped the suit because they said, we'll allow you to play. But in true racist American fashion,
American as apple pie.
they changed the rules and said, now it's not about how well you played again. Now it's invitation only.
Oh, it's a club.
Exactly. So in 1961, the PGA was still fighting to keep their golf whites only until the Attorney General of California, Stanley Moss, told them, we will not allow any PGA events in California unless you allow blacks to play in the tournaments. And because of that, and because of how big California is with the golf courses up and down the coast, they allowed them to play. It still was a long process to get blacks integrated into golf because there wasn't a African American to play in the Masters until 1975. Damn. And one of the craziest facts is A black man, George Grant, in 1899 created the modern day tee, which all golfers use to this day.
That's not crazy. That sounds about right.
Yeah, but
Sounds like history.
But he couldn't. They wouldn't let him play though.
Oh, of course not. No.
So
He was all back of the bus and shit.
he wasn't even on the bus. He was. Hey, it's funny. He was actually the first black professor at Harvard.
Wow.
I
So-
thought you was gonna say bus driver.
Whoa.
So on to today's golf. Golf currently has 28,000 pro players. There are hundreds of tournaments on different tours at different skill levels. The top tour is the Professional Golf Association Tour, which is the PGA. That's the one most people know. They have several events each year, but they have 4 majors that bring the biggest audience. You have the Masters, which were just completed this weekend. You have the U.S. Open,
Which is
the Masters in Augusta, Georgia.
it is the and when I say the, I mean it. What's my man name? Dave Chappelle said it. He said it's stewed to perfection. The racist day.
but listen, one of the founders of Augusta's golf club said, you know what? Golfers will always be white and black people will always be caddies. I'm sure he didn't use black people, but
Exactly. Because
Okay.
Anyway, let's
so
move on.
now these 4 tournaments are how golfers are judged. You can win smaller tournaments, and it doesn't really matter unless you win a Masters. Ask Sergio Garcia, because he gets no respect from Omar.
None at all.
My question to you guys is: there's only 4 events a year that get major publicity in golf. So is it a mainstream sport?
No.
No, I don't think it's a mainstream sport at all. And this is, if you watch all our other history shows, it's a reoccurring thing with the reason why I think these sports aren't mainstream. It's because of the accessibility. It's not popular in urban areas. It's extremely expensive, and as you alluded to, Les, it's extremely racist. It's a privilege game. You have to have money to actually play it. So if you are excluding a large section of people from playing it, it can't necessarily be mainstream. Now, it doesn't mean it's not a big sport.
Have you passed a driving range at any time of the day?
A lot of people there.
It's a lot of people there.
That's because there aren't driving range. It's not like basketball courts where they can be around the corner from each other. You need to have a specific amount of space. So there are people who come to these driving ranges because they're not everywhere. That's why when you drive by, you see people there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but I think golf is more so an acquired taste. It's an
Which I
acquired
haven't done. Go ahead.
But it's funny that you asked that because I actually drive by a golf course every day. It's in the hood, right across the street on Urban Avenue. But it's in a predominantly poor and black neighborhood, but you only see rich white guys playing there. So the good old boy network, the club network, is definitely in full effect. But to Devin's point, another thing that I think about it, it's not popular because it's not really exciting. It doesn't necessarily get the youth involved. And look, if you got a 40-inch vertical and run a 4.5, then you are not going to be on anybody's golf course.
No, they're going to make sure that you're not on their golf course. And to your point, Kev, it's not an easy game to watch unless you're watching a major.
Right.
And even so, if you're watching a major, not necessarily until Sunday, because when it gets close, because
Unless you just enjoy golf.
I mean, there are some golf heads out there, but I mean, for the
playing, I've played a few times. It actually made me enjoy watching it more because I'm like, okay, what would I do here?
right.
Probably not that.
Well, to me, as someone who played basketball, some tiny bit of college basketball as an athlete, that's an art to me. Like, I don't see that. I see it as more as an art form than a sport because it is extremely difficult to do what they do.
It's extremely
it's-
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't hard to swing the stick.
Whoa.
But it's hard to do it well.
What's the name of this show?
I think we might need to edit
just to
that.
bring it back to Sergio Garcia. How many golfers did you say there were? Professional golfers?
28,000.
Okay, so there are, I believe, 100, I think it was 110, 112, something like that, golfers who have won one major. There are I'm not, and this is from last week's show, so I'm trying to remember. Y'all know my memory sucks. There are 34 who have won 2, and the number keeps shrinking.
Right.
You know, you go to 3 and there's like 12 or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's an extremely hard game to master.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes time. And the crazy thing to me is playing. It's such a mental game, and that's something that Tiger had over everyone else. I have a quick story. I'm on a golf course. I'm not good. I play, have fun, have a couple beers out there,
Which is what
talk
95% of
shit.
the people do on this planet.
Have a good time. One of my friends, he's pretty good. He got a call from his wife. All the call was about was picking up some milk or something. Right?
Must have been Greg.
Threw his whole game off. So I think about Tiger, having chicks bash his car in, and his whole life.
We ain't getting to that yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten
jumping the gun.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about it. Who is the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time when it comes to golf? And we're going to go to El Dad first because he was different than everyone else.
The rest of us had the same thing.
Well, all of us had the same thing, but we didn't have the same thing. No, for me, my Michael Jordan of golf is none other than the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. The reason why I picked him is because when you have the most major victories than anyone else, he has 18, which a feat that won't be broken, I don't think. And like you just said, that number dwindles every time you start talking about people who won multiple. He's won 18 of them. He has more wins than Arnold Palmer, which was his arch rival at the time, and Ben Hogan, which is another rival, a contemporary, combined in majors. His winning span, and in golf, this is an interesting stat that they have. Winning span is the time that you win your first major to the time that you win your last major. His is 24 years. That's almost as old as Kevin. He has 37 top 2 finishes in majors. He played in an era where his contemporaries are some of the greatest. I mentioned 2 already, but you also have Player, Watson, and Trevino. He has a record 56 top 5 finishes in tournaments. So when you look at those sort of stats in the era that he played, it's hard to go against him.
The reason why I don't agree with you is, to me, he's the Bill Russell to the Michael Jordan.
I agree with you.
He was reluctant to shit.
Didn't say that.
Hey, I saw him struggling over there
like, hold up.
It's Bill Russell had 11 titles. No one talks about him as the great. Not saying that's not a closer argument.
My argument to that, though, is Bill Russell had 11 arguments as a team. This is a individual sport where you have to beat the people in front of you, and you have to play against yourself and the course.
I get it.
And no one was able to top that 18 times for him.
Well, you know what? Before I talk about why I disagree. Let's throw it to Kevin and talk about, unless you were still talking, because.
No, I mean, I think we should go ahead and pass it to Kevin, and let's find out who his Michael Jordan of golf is.
I do agree with Omar and Les, though, that I would say Nicholas is the Bill Russell because he's probably the most decorated, which then I may be going off on a tangent here, but I think that would make Arnold Palmer the Wilt Chamberlain because of the rivalry that they had for so long.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And that Palmer finished, I think, second place behind Jack 3 different times. So he was always bested by him the same way Russell was always bested by Chamberlain.
Other way around.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, the other way around. But then I would think that, to take it a little further, that Palmer would be Wilt because, like Wilt, they both like mixing that light with that dark. Think about it.
Yeah.
My Michael Jordan was none other than the great Eldrick Taunt Woods. And this is for a specific time frame from 1996 to 2006.
And what year were you born?
I was born 1990, the best year out.
Just checking. Thought you was born 96.
I said, no. I say that because 96, Tiger came on the scene and dominated for a decade, similar to how we compare Michael Jordan's greatness. 4 Masters, 3 U.S. Opens, three Open Championships, 3 PGA Championships. During that 10-year time frame, there was no arch rival. There was no one second best. It was just him and everybody else. He won Player of the Year 8 times on that time frame. He also had a similar slump to Jordan from 03 to 04, where he wasn't on top of his game. You look at Jordan, who took the seasons off to play baseball. And if you look at what I guess society's called the clutch gene, Tiger had arguably the best putt game when it mattered to win majors, the same way Jordan had, his signature fourth quarter shots to go up or win games.
Tiger also did the same thing for the sport of golf that Michael Jordan did for the NBA.
That's why I chose it.
Where I never watched a tournament. You couldn't get, unless I wanted a nap, you couldn't get me to watch golf. No, there's nothing anybody could say. It's like, I'd rather watch baseball on TV, and it's not like that's that much more exciting than golf. But golf was that was nap time for me. And it's mainly because I didn't see me. I didn't see me at all. And if you don't care about me, I don't care about you. It's just the way the world goes. You don't want me to be around you, I don't need to be around you. I mean, you go to a place like Augusta, Georgia, where Tiger Woods was the first black member of their club. And that's only because he won. They had to let him in.
The name of the tournament is the Masters.
In the deep South.
I do agree with what Omar was saying. That's another reason why I went with him, because he revolutionized the game. I mean, that was the only reason why I watched golf, was because of Tiger, and I was growing up as Jordan reached that prominent stage. And I think he changed the game in an extent that, similar to the Jordan rules, golf had to Tiger-proof some of their courses because he was dominating so well.
It was this thing he had to, if somebody was ahead of him and he was, their tee time was before him and maybe they had a higher score, you would hear the crowds roaring, and you could see their game go down because they're hearing Tiger coming for them.
It's that mental aspect of the game that he dominated with and was crushed. Yeah. All right. Let's get to the biggie. Now, we had 3 ambassadors had the same person. I was actually the eyeball on this one. I picked Lee Janzen. Mainly because he only had a 7-year career, and in golf, you can play until you're 40, 50, 60 years old, senior tours and everything. In a 4-year span, he actually had 2 major wins, and then he had what they call is the baby major, the Players Championship. He won that, and because of injuries, his career was cut short. I mean, I don't think he hasn't played in the last 10 years. So, I mean, it's one of those things where injuries cut it short. You never know because he was actually winning during a Tiger time. So, I mean, you never know what could have been. So, let's shoot to Kev.
I was going to say Roy McAvoy, but then I realized we can't use movies. So, we can shoot it back to Kev.
Kev, who was your biggie? Who had a short career that was fire for a minute?
I'm going with Tiger Woods. From 2006 to 2009 specifically, that dude was on a tear. His game had matured. He racked up 25 total wins during that time frame, including 4 majors. He won the PGA Championship in 06, 07. And at that time, we all knew it was just a matter of time before he passed Nicklaus. Until that fateful night.
Hey, wasn't it kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That was iron and irony.
Whoa! I don't think he meant to do that.
But he did it.
But he did that.
There.
Hey, bravo.
Golf Because he got hit upside the head with iron and with the iron knee.
Kev, that was Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Thanksgiving, man, November 27th. It all came
crumbling.
Kevin,
down.
what's a black man's kryptonite?
A white girl with a small butt and a smile.
Well,
and that's why he is our biggie. That bullet was his kryptonite.
I will also go on record and say that he is my Biggie Smalls. Although he's probably, like you guys said, the biggest icon of sports ever seen. He's moved the needle just like a Michael Jordan, richest golfer ever. He put it on the map for minorities, like you said. Definitely. You didn't watch it because you didn't see anybody like you.
And I didn't play.
He changed the viewership of golf single-handedly.
And it's went back down since he stopped winning.
Yeah, and the reason why I have him as that, and not specifically for the time frame that Kevin had him, just specifically for the what-if factor. We had a whole what-if debate on Tuesday with Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
What did Slug say?
I'm not going to. But that's a good one. Because of the brevity of his career, no matter how dominant he was, golfers routinely play, and you don't start the senior tour until you're 50 if you're good. Right. He is 41 right now, and it is over for Tiger. It is completely over. He will not win another major.
It was instant.
He won his last major in 2008 when he was 33, I believe it was.
And it's almost been 10 years.
And it's almost been 10 years. I mean, like Kev said, there was no way we didn't think he was going to win.
He had a shield of invincibility, and that one incident where it exposed his lifestyle.
Boy. hey, that's another 99 and 0.
That's another 99 and 0.
Oh, 99 and
but
but it destroyed his game, which is crazy.
And yeah, it did.
And I thought he was gonna go on a tear, like I'm free, I can be who I want to be.
And no, he wasn't. And Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley will tell you that it wasn't a good idea for him. But that's a whole nother segment. And going back to a stat that I mentioned when I was talking about Nicholas. His winning span was 24 years. Tiger's was only 11.
Yep.
Even though he got 14 in that short time frame. To me, that is Biggie. That's 2 5 mic albums in a short time span. And, I mean,
Which
it's
is
the
why
what-if factor.
I had him for both. Because I still think he was the greatest golfer. And I think he would have been the greatest by far. It's just...
If.
What's your favorite phrase? If was a skiff?
We'd be boat riding in Hawaii with 5 Polynesian chicks.
All right, let's get on to today's hot topic. The NBA playoffs are starting Saturday. Thank God. Regular season's over.
Oh my God. Well, it's gonna be longer next year too, right?
It's gonna be longer. It's gonna be less back-to-back games.
Fuck, the basketball season is way too long.
If the Lakers was good, it'd be short.
Be all good.
But they are not.
So playoff matchups have been set. Western Conference is Warriors versus Trailblazers, Spurs versus Grizzlies, Rockets versus OKC, and Clippers versus Jazz. My question in the Western Conference, is there any upsets there?
Yeah.
Who you got upsetting?
Utah
upsetting getting the Clippers in the first round.
Yep. Fuck the Clippers.
That's quite possible. I think that's probably the best series in the West. I mean, I don't know what to think.
That's the one I want to watch. Well, yeah. Besides that, and
I'm about to say
OKC and Houston, I want to watch that too. And I think Houston's going to win, but I'm hoping OKC is
speaking of the OKC and Houston series, I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be awful basketball. But I'd like to pass
it to... fun to watch and awful basketball at the same time.
Yes.
I guess
yes.
so, right.
I'd like to pass it to Ambassador Kev because the name of our show on Tuesday was called The Williest of the Bobos. And I don't think we've ever given context to what that meant. And we use that to describe Russell Westbrook. But Kev, can you please give us some etymology on that term, please?
Say that 5 times.
Why, yes. I'll be honest, I don't know how the phrase originated. I just know growing up playing basketball, if someone was like shooting the ball too much or like going for theirs, we say he's going Bobo. So it went from Bobo to Willie Bobo to Bo to then just Willie. So we've kind of added a combination of different ways to refer to Russell Westbrook for.
Is he related to Willie Lump Lump?
No, because Willie Lump Lump took lumps. Willie Bobo was getting his no matter what. When you play with like, damn, yo, you going Bo? Pass the fucking ball, B. Like that's where that came from. But so I thought we should at least bring that up and explain that because we've been talking about it for a year and nobody's ever really said anything about it. But I think you're right. I think Utah. I don't think your OKC.
I don't think they will either. I think they have to play a perfect game to beat them. But that Utah, man, I think no one's seeing them coming. Other than that, I think the West stays pat. Yeah.
Okay, so Eastern Conference. Boston versus Chicago.
Now, I talked a lot of shit about how Wade was done on Tuesday, but I definitely feel like this is going 6 or 7 just because Boston doesn't have any playoff experience.
Still think Boston's gonna win.
I think
And
they win.
They split the season series 2-2.
I think
yeah.
Boston's gonna win.
Yeah, the Cavs versus Pacers.
Yeah, let's move on.
Raptors versus Bucks.
That's my pick. Right?
Yeah.
You think the Bucks are going to get the Raptors?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Lowry just coming back, not getting, in rhythm the way the Milwaukee's playing.
I think the Greek Freak is trying to show the world he can play basketball.
I agree. I think Milwaukee definitely has a chance to beat them. And I actually read something right before the show that the Greek Freak, I'm not even trying to pronounce his last name, Omar, but
I can't do it.
the first player to finish in the top 20 of every statistical category.
Damn.
Which I think he's being overlooked. Not necessarily for MVP, but I think a lot of people are looking past him.
He's a Swiss Army knife. And who said it that if he played somewhere else he'd be a superstar, or if people could pronounce his name he'd be a superstar?
Hey, all you need is a damn alias.
Right.
For real.
I mean, but even his nickname is fucking long. Shit.
The Greek Freak.
And then finally we have the Wizards versus the Hawks.
Hey, I think the
that's
Wizards.
a toss up to me.
You think so? I think the Wizard gets to the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
Finals.
so do I.
I
think they're a complete team.
Guess what? I think they're a complete team, but I also think the Hawks can ball out when they're ready.
I think
I think that-
losing Teague, because you got who like Wall is gonna
Schroeder.
Schroeder gonna get the German's
The
gonna
German.
get it up.
This is German.
Hey. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on Confirmation Bias. Remember to go to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at The League AM and let us know, was your bias confirmed
Or nah.
or nah?
Sharing is caring.